Hey everybody, Sean from Media Assault here, and it's time for the fourth and final installment of my 2016 Halloween horror series. And this time out, taking a look at Maggie, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger and Abigail Breslin. And this is a film that I actually sought out because I heard about the performance from Arnold Schwarzenegger. I really didn't even know what the plot of the film was. But I had heard Arnie was really good in it, and I figured, what the hell, I like most of Arnold Schwarzenegger's films, I'll check it out. After finding it in, of all places, the 788 bin at Walmart on Blu-ray, I came to realize that it is in fact billed as a horror film, but in fact it's more of a drama with horror elements than it is a straight up horror film. And it is, in fact, a zombie movie, which is even more interesting based on, or it's more interesting when you find out how this movie is actually constructed and how it turns out. Basic plot outline is that Arnold Schwarzenegger plays a man named Wade. He's searching for his daughter, the title character Maggie, as she's apparently run away from home, and he finds her in the quarantine ward of a local hospital. They live somewhere in the Midwest. It's very rural, like Kansas, I believe. And it's obvious from the beginning of the film that there's been some sort of apocalyptic outbreak of some sort of virus or something. They call it the Turn, and for anybody who's ever watched a horror movie of any type, you know that this is in fact a zombie outbreak. And what has happened is Maggie was actually bitten by someone infected with this virus. And the process for somebody who has this virus is that once it progresses far enough along, that they start to get a heightened sense of smell. They stop eating regular food, and then they begin to get a taste for human flesh. And then by that point, of course, they are a threat to humanity. So they're asked by their friends and loved ones to be turned into what's called the quarantine, which is, basically where they will go to finish their maybe unnatural life. So what we have here is Maggie is recovered by her father and brought home, but he doesn't want to give her up. He doesn't want to turn her into the quarantine. And it's sort of more of a story of the bond between the father and the daughter than it is about the fact that she's going to turn into a zombie, basically. So if you're expecting Arnold Schwarzenegger, you hear Arnold Schwarzenegger is going to be in a zombie film, and you're immediately expecting him to be, blasting zombies' heads off with a shotgun or something like that. This is not the movie for you. It's not the movie I was expecting either, so I wasn't too turned off by the fact that that was lacking. There's not much action in the film at all. It's a very slow, very deliberate pace. Some might say boring, especially if they're expecting an Arnold Schwarzenegger action film. But in fact, this is more of an introspective drama about what would happen if, this type of infection affected your family, and the decisions you'd have to make, and what it would do to, your community and the town, and how people would react with relationships and knowing somebody that's turned into a zombie. They never use the word zombie, by the way. I'm just using it for reference. But it's more about that type of thing. And so, like I said, it's less of a horror movie and more of a drama. It's still fairly successful at being just an independent film about turning into a zombie. But as a horror film, it's not so successful. But it's not really attempting to be, so I can't really fault it for that. Even though I included it in my Halloween horror series, I did so because it was a film that dealt with zombies or something resembling zombies, but it is in fact more of a drama than anything else. So as a result, it's not really scary. It's more dramatic, and the performance from Schwarzenegger, the aforementioned reason I was interested in the film in the first place, it is pretty good. I don't think he's ever going to win any type of Oscar for this performance. This movie came out in 2015, so it's obvious that he didn't. He wasn't nominated for anything. So the performance isn't that spectacular, but it is pretty good for him, especially if you're used to him just running around and shooting people and telling people to get to the chopper. So I can recommend Maggie hesitantly if you know what you're getting into. Here's the back with Arnie sitting there with his shotgun, but he does not use to blow off multiple zombie heads. So if you know what you're getting yourself into, I would recommend seeing it as a curiosity more than anything else. It's not really a movie that I would say, you have to run out and see it by all means, but definitely worth a shot if you're interested in seeing Arnold Schwarzenegger do something a little more unusual, or if you're looking for something above and beyond the typical zombie film, which is pretty much a genre that I think has run its course for at least for now until somebody can come up with something more fresh and exciting. This is at least a unique take on it. So I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10, which doesn't sound like much of a recommendation, but again, knowing what it is and knowing what you're going to get probably would bump that up a little more for you. So there you go. That's my review of Maggie, and that's it for the Halloween horror series for 2016. It's been fun this month. I've actually seen quite a few different types of films. We had, Blackula, the blaxploitation film, and Lords of Salem, more of a modern horror film, and The Witch, which was more of a modern classic horror film, and Maggie, which was sort of hit or miss. But actually got to see quite a few interesting movies this year. I always like to pick movies that I haven't seen, so it was a successful year. So thanks for watching, everybody. Stay tuned. As always, feel free to rate, comment, and subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I'll be back soon. Thanks again for watching. Take it easy.